Everyone, welcome back to the Rolling Girls, episode 9, Night Thieves, and this is our top 5 moments with Skyline.
Hello, everyone.
Yep, we're gonna just go over the episode a couple days late due to technical things. But
It's all my fault, everybody.
no problem. It's fine. And I guess I'll jump right into it with my 5 moments. I guess Pirates slash Marines. It's weird that you get a new group that are like kind of a mixture of like Pirates, Marine type characters. That it's I don't know. I think it's cool just seeing a group that actually has a real motivation, and they not only do they want the stones, they want every stone they can get a hold of. But I guess they're after that, and it's a power source they want.
More or less, I mean, we kind of have an idea about what Chiaya's mom and the whole Tower Institute thing was set up for. What that was to, because they kept on randomly appearing to people, that was the best way to keep track of them and get them back. So they set up all that trade stuff, but with the pirates, it's basically more or less stealing them as much as they possibly can. Makes me wonder why they haven't raided Kyoto of all places.
Right, and they actually knew like the amount of stones. Like they knew one was missing. Mm-hmm. That was pretty weird that they exactly knew how many there were. Like, that's weird.
Competitors.
Right. Yeah. What's your number 5?
Yeah, this is just coming from me, just because I happen to look into stuff like this all the time. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of peaches being eaten. Mimio was eating peaches, and I was eating peaches by the fistful, just because she's that glutton-style character. But it kind of made me doing a little bit of poking around, and they're in the Okayama prefecture in Hiroshima, the city, and that's famous for giving Japanese culture the story of Peach Boy, Momotaro. And that's about a boy that basically comes from heaven, gets raised by normal people, and he meets a pheasant, a dog, and a monkey, and has all kinds of adventures, knocking down ogre forts and fighting monsters and different stuff like that. So it just makes me wonder if there's like some sort of parallel going on in there about Chiaya, coming from heaven, coming from a distant star, being an alien and all that kind of stuff, and all that wandering about. It just makes me wonder if there's a rhyme or reason to it. Like the last arc, they kind of had that Chambara film, that sort of Jidaigeki kind of thing going on. So it makes me wonder if they're kind of like adapting old stories for Rolling Girls.
Or you can watch the better one, Momoka, which is far better than the...
I missed out on Momoka, sorry.
Princess, whatever her name was, Peach Momoka, whatever. That was okay. Mm-hmm. But yeah, same story about how they meet the animals and stuff. But yeah, I see that. It could be something like that, easily, yeah. My number 4 is Friendship is Over. We have I and Nozomi kind of this little argument about something that kind of is meaning a little tiny thing, but it actually is bigger than what I guess you thought. I think Nozomi's a little annoying sometimes, and yeah, the reversal. Nozumi thinks Ai's a little not very bright, and she's kind of slowing things down. So those two girls kind of have an argument. It's kind of funny watching that.
Yeah, I kind of foisted her way into the group when you get right down to it, and never really stopped being that. I mean, she's the only one without a motorcycle. She was literally tagging along in the shotgun seat, on Nozomi's motorcycle when you get right down to it. But she fit in, so much to the point that, when they were overfeeding them, Japanese pizza, that they're saying, oh, don't worry about giving us too much. We have a friend that eats everything. And next thing you know, Ai's not there.
Right, they were used to her being around for maybe that only, but I always feel that if you look at it like as a whole, she doesn't really do a whole lot. I mean, she's there doing stuff, but she doesn't really contribute a whole lot to the team, I would say. I mean, like you said, she doesn't really have a bike of her own. She's kind of mooching off everyone as far as, being driven everywhere. So it's like, and I think she was supposed to be technically the oldest one of their group, so I think they made a mention about her having her license and whatever and all that.
Possibly. I can't quite remember those details.
Right. What was your number 4?
The return of Shigyo, Masami, or Matcha Green, as we used to affectionately know her, and Yukari back into the mix. We bring some elements from the first arc back into play. Shigyo is afraid of reprisals because she's not a best anymore, and all the people she beat up, she's kind of afraid of people coming and getting back to even the score. And so Masami and Yukari kind of hatch a plan to go get a stone back, just by sneaking in and just taking one. I mean, they could have had a better plan when you get right down to it, but I guess that's what they had at their disposal. And then along the way, Yukari meets up with the pirates, and she ends up getting kidnapped.
right after claiming that she's the daughter of the tower lady, whatever.
Yep. Yep. I'm the daughter of the president. You better not do anything to me. And then he sees the picture of Chiaya. Goes, yeah, you're lying, but
yeah, okay.
we'll kidnap you anyway. It's that kind of show.
Yeah. But yeah, with Shugio, like you mentioned her, is it almost feels like you said, she's afraid of all that, but it almost feels like, she's been so used to the power, she's addicted to it, that she, after losing it, she has nothing to do with her life. Relied on the power so much that now she's like, the crack addict or whatever you want to call it. She needs that power, and she can't have the power, so she's just, not herself anymore. Maybe that was her. She relied on it too much.
Probably did.
Yeah. So again, it's showing us the negative effects of these stones.
Yeah,
let's see. So my number 3, everyone is split up at the end. Like before we get to the end credits and everything, all the girls are like kind of on their own doing their thing. They get split up because of something. They have to do this and do that, and they get split up. So it makes you wonder how they're gonna get back together. And I'm guessing, Chihaya is probably gonna be when they bring them together. Obviously, because she's like, I would say she's probably the glue of the group, holding everyone together. Yeah. What was your number 3?
That does lead me right into number 3.
Okay.
Chiaya took off looking for Ai because she realized, hey, we can't do this without our 4th member of the band and all that. So I mean, 3 of them were together at least, and then she split off, and then Yukari, of course, not Yukari, but the girl that always gets lost ends up getting lost again, leaving Nozumi alone. So they are all split up, but through misadventures they're split up.
Little side quest, I would say. My number 2 is Chad's past. We finally, I know you said earlier what she was, but we finally get the truth on, what she is and all this. And you get a little picture on her past. And I noticed there's also a picture book she was looking at, which had the same, the 3 girls that are with her now, but different haircuts. So it makes you think maybe she assumes that she knows them because she read this book for so long that maybe she imprinted her onto them because of that book. So it makes you wonder, because she didn't go to school, she didn't have any friends, she was kind of kept away from everyone, like I guess a princess basically. So
yeah, that's a possibility. Is she the kind of alien like other aliens in television shows and movies and stuff like that learn about Earth behavior by watching television and reading books and different things like that?
Yeah, it could be. And yeah, it's kind of yeah.
This is what young girls our age are supposed to do. We're supposed to get on motorcycles and travel around and look for things.
Right. But I thought it was really cool that you finally came back to that and at least explained a little bit. And so yeah, what was your number 2?
Number 2, what did Momiyama find underground? I mean, there was that moment to where we rejoined him when he snuck in all ninja-like with fancy tech toys and stuff like that. And then they cut down to him and he's underground and he's looking at this old-style, Japanese-style city all lit up red and things like that. And he's just looking on in abject horror, like he can't believe his eyes. And it's like, what the heck did you find down there? Was that like more, because maybe it was that reddish pinkish color. I'm thinking maybe perhaps they found more stones or something along those lines, but don't know what. So that'll come up next episode.
I think he actually saw a one second, like a mini sub, a big submarine or a ship. That's what he was looking at. They had this massive, like, brown-looking sub that maybe he's thinking, oh, they're going to war now. They're going to use the stones to power up this weapon. So there's like a That's
the thing. I was more taken aback by the ancient-looking Japanese city and the big old red glow on it that I didn't think that the whatever sub or spaceship, it looked like a helicopter almost in a way.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, so I didn't think it was that important.
Right. I guess he just sees it as, oh, they found something, something old. Maybe that is the ship, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a weapon. But yeah, he is kind of freaked out by it. I guess it's kind of dangerous. And let's see, my number 1 would be Chihaya is an alien. Yes, we finally figured that out this week. That's what she is. I was expecting the girls to see her when she was in their tent sleeping, because they all woke up, saw her sitting there in this squid form, whatever you want to call it, and kind of just stared at her for a good 2 seconds, and then went back to sleep. I'm like, oh, come on.
Back to sleep.
Anime characters.
I love that. I love that bit of anticlimax right there. That's just classic anime writing when you get right down to it.
It's like we're gonna find out. Oh, nope, never mind.
We're just wrong.
Next week.
And then she asks, it's like, isn't that embarrassing when you're not paying attention to the way you should look, and you don't look that way? And she's talking that to Yukina, and it's like, Yukina's like just letting her chatter away, just whatever. What are you talking about? I have no clue what you're going on about. What do you mean when you aren't concentrating on what you're supposed to look like? Is that a thing?
Yeah, she's like, yeah, that's great. Really?
Mm-hmm.
You don't say. Like, and just kind of going on about it. But yeah, I guess the goal for that, why they're collecting the stones, is, I guess her mom's they're gonna go back home to their planet, and that's the whole, I guess, typical alien thing we see in movies, TV shows, and all that. That eventually the alien has to go home. That's how it is.
Exactly. It is.
They're not from that planet, so they gotta go back.
It makes me wonder about the translation they had, but she said, it's a full moon is coming up soon. It only happens once every 487 years, and I'm like, the last time I checked my calendar, the full moon happens on 3 nights, once a month.
Right, but
3 nights a month.
But it's like for Roland goes, like, we gotta create some kind of dilemma, some kind of problem.
But it makes me wonder if there was something missing in the translation, like they forgot to say it's a special kind of full moon that only comes around with a conjunction of other stars once every 487 years.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder if they forgot that bit in there, because like last time I checked, 3 times a month, once a month.
Right. It makes me wonder if they're gonna do something like, I could see him doing the thing where Chihaya has to decide, and she's gonna decide to obviously stay with the girls, but it makes you also wonder if she leaves, where they lose memories of her, because I think that's what her alien race probably does, is put memories in people, or uses them for memories. There's some kind of memory thing she uses, because of the camera and all that, so it has to be something.
Mm-hmm. Or that could just be like a little interesting little tidbit from her alien race or something like that.
Right, yeah. And what was your number 1?
This is just what this show and what anime itself sometimes excels at. Well, they just have random moments that an ostrich comes out of nowhere and starts chasing Ai around. I mean, just an ostrich. Just comes and chases her around. You never noticed that at the end? Oh, goodness. And then a girl
oh yeah, the big
with
bird,
a stone on her hat comes out with a boken and then just smacks the ostrich around and comes to her aid. It's just one of those great moments that you always expect from anime.
Right, I think I remember that now, like the giant bird out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a few things I want to mention is the, we had the Okayami shop, which I probably butchered the name, but whatever. Every time I see that in anime, it reminds me of Ron One Half all the time. Especially when you get down to the huge spatula that the guy is going to use at the end. And yeah, I guess we didn't really talk about that much. I guess that's the plot of this episode, that there's all these shops and the pirates are moving in and taking over the territory. And they're trying to kick him out, so that's basically what that plot is. But aside from that, it was just cool seeing that. I mean, I don't know why it reminds you of Ramen. Maybe it's the first time I've seen that, so every time I see a character that is involved with that, it makes me think of that.
Remember, back, today we have scissors.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day, they had those spatulas.
Right, yeah.
That's what I got for it. And, it's funny because you mentioned Ranma One Half, and I went, oh, yeah, that's right. But when the episode was airing, all I could think of was Tamayura.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was my most recent memory of Okonomiyaki was. It means one with everything.
Right. Yep, and it's basically, like we just said earlier in the episode, a Japanese pizza. Because it's all layers and all kinds of stuff on it. So,
more or less when you get down to it.
Right. Anything else in the episode you want to mention? Or?
This is probably the one where the detractors of the series probably had a field day, because that was some anime fail in some of the worst times. I mean, character models were off 90% of the time. There was hardly any mouth flap in the animation whatsoever. They always blocked the shots where they didn't. That was the most minimal episode I'd seen in the series so far.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just, big animation fail that particular episode. So hopefully they save their money there, and the last part of this arc or whatever next arc they're going to pick up, they'll be able to excel at. If I tell you what, if Wit Studios is saving up their money and they're going to spend it on that stupid vampire anime coming up in spring, I'm going to be ticked off.
Oh, they are. I mean, that vampire anime in the spring is like, its production value is way up there. But also, we haven't really seen any episodes, but for me, I always take us as like, because, okay, I'll use Chapter as an example. They make Kaku City actors. To me, that was given to their, like, B team or C team. The lowest of the low, the newbies that aren't used to the animation. So that's what I took with Rolling Girls. Wit Studios probably has their, B team that handles all the
Well,
the
It
mid shows.
is a splinter of Production IG, so you think they'd be able to have a talent to be able to filter down just in case. I mean,
Right.
we all been watching Shirobako. We know everything about how anime companies do things now.
Right, yeah. Even though I look at that as a kind of a good example, but I know most of it's exaggerated, but it is a good kind of idea of how things work. I mean, a lot of things aren't done in studio. They're obviously, some things are taken out to other studios to help them out. You know, if you look at the list of mini shows there, you see stuff like JC Staff's on a list of a show that you wouldn't think, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's passed around, but with this, I think, I mean, I'm not expecting mind-blowing visuals. I mean, first episode was good, but yeah, maybe it'll get better as we get closer to the end, like you said.
hmm
But I think that's it from the episode. I don't remember anything else standing out.
The last thing I would have mentioned is the fact that, you know, a couple of weeks ago I saw that they had that Toys McCoy, which is an expensive boutique shop in Japan that deals in like motorcycle gear and helmets. They had an expensive helmet. The only real merchandising I think I'd really want from the series, aside from the Fuchiyaya figures, is I want 2 posters that is the long ED graphic that they have when they're playing the ED music.
Right, yeah.
Because that would make for some neat like wall scrolls, wouldn't it?
Yeah, their ending animation reminds you of like the Shaft show. They have all this weird animation at the end on certain arcs, but yeah, that's cool. The only thing I would like from the show is maybe like a plushie of Chai in her like alien form.
Yeah, you have, well, with that ED graphic, it's like if you follow it down, they're following the principal supporting characters from each arc. And I just thought, and then that's when they're panning the camera down. And then they pan the camera back up, and it's the main cast. And I thought that would just be neat posters.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking to see who did the ending animation, because that's always reminds me of like a Shaft type series, just for the ending anyway. But I think that's it for the episode. Guess see you guys next week for 10. Things are getting close to the end, which is pretty exciting.
Yes. See you then.
See ya.